Hello, everyone. Welcome to this series of leadership talks where experts working in the space of data come in and they explain various things about projects that they handle as well as what skills you need to possess to get into this field. As part of this series, I have a very special guest today, and this guest, before giving away the name, has graduated from University of Calcutta, then from Indian Institute of Social Welfare and Business Management. The guest has done MBA, and then the guest also has done Advanced Management Program in Business Analytics from Indian School of Business, right? And when it comes to the experiences, there are quite a few hospitals that our friend has worked with. He started off working with Narayana Hrudaya Hospital, then Hosmac India Private Limited in the space of hospital administration, then Vasan Eye and Multi-Speciality as a center head. Then he moved on to become general manager of operations and projects with Kinder Women's Hospital and Fertility Center. Then with Max Healthcare, he worked as deputy medical superintendent, and Shriman Super Speciality Hospital, Techno India Group as COO, and now he's working as a group COO with Amandeep Hospital, right? What a tremendous experience Dr. Madhab Chakraborty has, right? And I'm certain with the kind of domain knowledge that he has, he will be absolutely in demand in almost all the hospitals, right? Thank you so much, Dr. Madhab, for joining in. It means a lot, given your busy schedule, you pulling off your time to share your experiences. So the first question is, what are the kind of AI projects which are happening in the companies that you work with, in the hospitals that you work with? Would you like to share a few of those experiences with us?
Yeah, thank you for Professor, for such an interesting introduction. And yes, to cut short, to quickly jump into the questions. See, there are lots of health talks, in healthcare domain, the role of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and business analytics are there. So whenever we talk about the healthcare industry, mostly are there with either equipments or instruments or on the pharma sector. But if we jump into hospital sector, there are ample opportunity. It's not like that, with a small span of 15 minutes, half an hour or 1 hour, it can be concluded. It's not like that. In fact, the opportunities were existing in a hospital sector. If I just deep dive more into hospital from the healthcare, jump into that, there is ample opportunity. So let me go just very quickly, one by one, very small. Before starting a hospital, we need to do lots of analytics. That is called market analytics. So whether to start a hospital, what is the right kind of population you must target? What should be your facility mix? So this kind of analytics have a bigger role over there. So a structured analytics role is really lacking in that particular sector. But yes, there are lots of consultancy wherever they are. So those hospitals very quickly jump into profit. In a hospital ideal situation, usually it takes to reach into break even almost around 2 years time. But if we do a good analysis, maybe we can do that break even in either 1 year or 1.5 years. We can do that break even. So that is one of the very important sector. So then again, coming to commissioning of the hospital, that also comes with experience. But yes, once the hospital runs, there are lots of things, because it is one of the very complex organization. So we have to understand what is required. In hospital, the things are mostly driven by the consultants, the doctors. So they know what to do. So they can tell you what I am looking for, but they don't know how to get the best result with the quickest span of time in the best possible way out of that. There this analytics can play a major role. So for example, if we talk about running a hospital as it is a service sector, optimization has a fantastic role. We can do lots of things on that. Even if we talk about If we talk about the normal paper napkin, so how it can be have a big impact on the organization if we do these small changes, and if we can show it to analytics, so that can impact on your EBITDA and your profitability jumps. There are lots of medicines available. If I talk about pharmacy, lots of medicines available with good company with the better impact. So those are there. If we can have those, and if we can see what are the fast moving items and what I should keep in my hospital, and the small changes in that particular brand sometimes might give you a fantastic result. And it's not in small amount, it's in crores. Okay. Again, so there are, if we talk about CRMs, so lots of software companies, they approach us, customer relationship management. So, there are lots of big potentiality. So there are the machine learning, so chatbots, you can go into different kind of chatbots, like Salesforce also have the Einstein bot. So this kind of things, if we can integrate, because in a hospital, what we are dependent on those, third-party softwares. So they come to us, but the hospital have their unique features. Lots of, I used to often get this kind of discussion with multiple companies who approach me for your group of hospitals, how we can enter. But very unfortunately, in the most of cases, they give us some generic formulation. They don't know what is the exact pinpoint for a hospital. They give a generalized view because they are not from the domain knowledge. Let me talk about, nowadays, if we are talking about, it's the e-prescription, that is electronic prescription is at, very peak. Everyone wants to go for an e-prescription. But all senior consultants, if I see from perspective of a doctor really they don't want to leave their pain habit. One doctor told me, Madhab, you can do anything, but please don't take out the pen and paper from my hand. I am really fond of that, and please don't take it. And if you can understand how passionate and how attached they are with this pen and paper. But yes, in analytics, in ML, we have this. What we can do, if we can give one electronic pen to them, and if I can allow them, he said, please write down the way you want to flow, you write it, I will take it from text recognition, I will take it, text in the format, in the computer, in the structure, the form you want, I will place it, and it will give some good impact. If you want to draw, you draw. It will create a fantastic image over there. So this kind of things are really missing in today's world. Hospital runs on lots of hospital software, but this kind of integration, still we are looking from some of the software developer who can come and give us this kind of solutions, innovative solutions. So again, if I talk about, it is market driven, there are lots of chatbots. But the chatbots, when they talk to our patients, they do some predictions. Again, there is, a basket system we can implement over here. A patient having lots of multiple complaints. By analyzing that, we can recommend, sir, you are having this particular, taking consultation of this particular specialty. We recommend you also to take this kind of specialty. The chatbot can definitely predict on that. So predictive analysis have a very good role. Already the investigations, if I talk about, the investigation, lab investigation has already started. There are lots of good companies who are coming with this kind of, analytics. With your report, they're giving lots of analytics. You might have this, you need to go through this kind of checkups. Same way we used to do in a hospital for any kind of, lab investigations. What we do, we used to take one pre-filled form to support the pathologist. We call, test requisition form. There you have to write down your past illness. You have to talk about it. With this kind of tagged data, what we can do a fantastic machine learning model where our cost to a patient, what are the investigations actually we should go for, that can actually help the patient. instead of doing maybe 15-20 investigations, we can reduce it to 15, maybe 10 or 15. So this impact of the cost of this 5 tests can tremendously help the patient, because in our country all patients cannot afford. Again, if I talk about the business, the hospital have multiple type of payers. One patient, they're cash payer patient. Few patients have their own personal medical insurance, and there are lots who are coming through the corporate insurance, and also there is a government sector insurance. And on list side, there is AiSPRY, the dream project of the Prime Minister. It is there. But the problem with the hospital, sometimes we cannot compromise with the quality. But sometimes we see really the cost have been offered by the government, this insurance are really less than the actual cost incurred on that. So there again, we can have this kind of analytics. What are the things we can do? How we can minimize the number of tests to only contribute to the effective tests over there, only to minimize the number of prescriptions, whatever we're writing, whatever we can eliminate from that, so that hospital can survive and can serve better to this kind of population where they can get benefited. So there is a fantastic opportunity of machine learning, because hospital is full of tagged data. The medical record itself is one of the fantastic source. A patient having 100 pages of hard copy written over there, if we can just text recognition, if we can put over there on those files, this tremendous opportunity of having the data which are unstructured, we can you can say talk about gold mine is there, but these really areas are unexplored yet. The reason behind that, only the very large enterprise level corporate hospitals, they can afford to have one centralized team of business analytics, for the entire group of the hospitals who have more than 20, 30, and having a patient bed of maybe 3,000, 5,000 and more, this kind of, so they can afford. But the India is full of plenty of middle to small size of hospital. They cannot afford to having this kind of a central team, because really it is costly, because it requires lots of brain, lots of talent, right? So this kind of opportunity is definitely going to come up. Again, see, if I talk about the business mix stuff, which is we taught about one of the very fantastic thing, optimization. We have done lots of projects on that, where what is the patient mix of cash patient and those kind of credit patient should be there to give the most optimum benefit on the hospital, because this credit patient has a great impact on the less cash flow in the hospital, but they have a larger role to keep the hospital bed always occupied. So your fixed cost can be contributed on that. So this makes also have a great opportunity. So I'm talking about most of the operational aspect, because on the other hand, like wherever the radiology diagnostics, so we have already done plenty of things in the deep learning and all, image classification, image detection, so those things already there. If we talk about this MRI, CT scan, we used to have the softwares in lakhs and crores rupees. The machine is there, they are taking that only image. But there are image intensifier, image detectors who can predict and guide the doctors. This is the right way you have to detect. There are lots of technological bases there. Siemens, GE, they are doing wonderful on those areas. And oncology have tremendously developed. Again, the clinical research has a fantastic opportunity. Clinical research is doing a lot because it is backed by the pharmaceutical companies. There are lots of investment, so there are opportunities. Definitely some of my industry colleague will come and talk about it on someday, right? But these are the sectors really in a hospital, the plenty of opportunity, and these integrations are future of hospital healthcare, because people know what to do. But how to just, encash that with business analytics, that is, one of the real thing is missing. And where we can the NLP, deep learning, so those can come into, LLP model, of course, can do a better generation, because, whoever coming to us, they are creating some of the chatbot for a generalized client. Some of them are hospitals, so they are getting experienced out of that. But all hospitals have a different dynamics, because they are capturing for a different kind of population. Some of them are on the grade A city, some of them are on B city, some of them are on C. Somewhere the patients come in the name of the doctors, somewhere it comes in the name of the consultant. Okay, somewhere I have seen even the patients are coming because of the staff, because they got a lot of empathy over there. And some are coming on the technology because they understand it as a fantastic technology. So, this is a very complex thing, how patient are going to choose the hospital and how to interact. I still feel, I use in my organization lots of chatbot, but I found that when my telecalling team, they are calling with empathy. Sir, how are you? I really want to hear from you. Maybe you have not taken the service from my hospital. Really, I'm taking care of your health. So this somewhere actually gives something, the passionate touch to the patient. And there maybe, our deep learning, maybe our large language model, this kind of chatbots will come into role, where more empathy slowly be imbibed. Because most of the chatbots are somewhere monotonous. They give options, either A or B or C. No, patients really don't, get connected with that. So this kind of area we need to do. And of course, market has tremendous potential. So we need to know which market we should tell, what I should tell to the customer. So this are lots of area where analytics has a tremendous role to play. So that's what I can say. It's a never-ending process. If I start talking about it, that's really amazing sector, and the datas are really unorganized. Only I can say 10 to 20% are organized data, what we can get from the hospital management software, but rest are really not. And there is the gold mine is actually there.
Wonderful, wonderful, Madhab. No wonder your experience is clearly reflecting from the way you have covered, I should say, plethora of hospital management use cases, starting from marketing analytics. And then you're also saying that there's a business value to it. So you are tagging it back to the business value. You're saying that if for break even it's going to take 2 years, then thanks to the analytics, it can be reduced to 1 year or 1.5 years, clearly showing some business value. Then optimization, right? Basically, you spoke about pharmaceutical or pharmacies rather, if I were to put it in that way. You'll have vital drugs, desired drugs, essential drugs, you'll have consumables, right? And then the cost of which runs into crores of rupees. Using your proper forecasting and optimization, you can bring it down significantly. Then you spoke about chatbots, and you interestingly brought in the empathy aspect. As opposed to building a bot which will, randomly keep responding, if it can bring in some empathy, then that will actually touch the hearts of the patients, right? And domain expertise. And then you very, very clearly told that there is a specific need and we have to address that problem. For example, doctors are so, attached to the devices or to the pen and paper that you cannot say that you please start using the digital screen or computers and start typing. As opposed to that, giving them an electronic gadget and asking them to write, which would actually mimic the paper writing stuff, would ensure that a lot of people start using this, right? And then you spoke about test requisite forms. You spoke about insurance policies, how a few of the insurance policies are limited, that will not even cover the costs of all the tests put together. So how can we cleverly build an optimization algorithm to reduce the number of tests, yet safeguarding the patient's health? Right? That's an amazing thing. And deep learning and so on and so forth. So you told clearly that A lot of people know what has to be done, but not a lot of people know how to get it done. Right? Amazing, Dr. Madhab. And next question that I have is, if you were to hire someone who would be working with you in building AI solutions, what is the kind of skill that you would look out for?
Yeah, so first skill I will look after, of course, there will be the deep knowledge of the very clear knowledge of statistics, optimization. Those are two things which I really look for on that. And yes, different kind of modeling, like large language programming, natural language query. Okay, so this kind of things I really look for, because we have lots of data, and put a simple comment to fetch some right kind of data sets from my hospital software. So this kind of things are really look for. And deployment, very importantly, deployment of the model in the hospital setup is very important. I can do multiple things, but how easily you are going to deploy, because hospital doesn't have always tech-savvy people. Your model should be so easy and so appealing to deploy. Quickly will do and you will get the result. Because in hospital you cannot spend time, because we are dealing with life and death. I cannot experience by keeping a patient instead of 3 days to 5 days. I cannot do that. I have to keep the minimum stay in the hospital to the patient. So this kind of really deployment I'm looking for. I really want their deep knowledge on optimization, statistics, and of course few of the models. And I am not very keen for they should have lots of knowledge and expertise in other unit, because domain knowledge is ample there. In a hospital, if I go, we can say this, you do. Then any of the doctor can say, I really want this. What I told, they can tell. But the methodology, my advantage after having in AiSPRY, I can tell, yes, you deploy this kind of model which will help you out. But even most of the doctors, in 90%, they don't know what really to do, how you can achieve this path. Programming, you can get lots of source, AI sources are there easily. They can give some of the programming, and a good programmer, even I can do something on that. Yes, I can do. But yes, you have to understand deployment, how to do that, how to keep a data security. That aspect is very important, because we have lots of this kind of confidential data. Patient data are always very precious. You cannot make it public. So this kind of knowledge really I'm looking for. So deployment is most important out of all those things.
Wonderful, wonderful. And all these are very, very interesting things, Dr. Madhab. So very clearly, Dr. Madhab is saying that one should have optimization knowledge and statistics knowledge, right? That is actually a mandatory skill to possess. Alongside that, knowledge of large language models, natural language processing, good knowledge on prompt engineering, so that you fetch the relevant data from plethora of data sources which exist. And finally, once you build a model, you should be in a position to deploy. Only if you deploy can people start using that. So deployment skill is also a mandatory skill, which our COO is talking about. And also they should have knowledge of data security. You're dealing with healthcare data. Personal health information is extremely critical. Without compromising that, building the AI solutions would be amazing. And I'm pretty sure this conversation would have enlightened the thoughts of a lot of people, especially those who want to get into the field of hospital management. Here you go. You're directly hearing from an expert who has years and years, and in fact, decades of experience working in this field. Right? Thank you so much, Dr. Madhab. It means a lot. And this knowledge, I'm sure, a lot of audience, a lot of doctors for that case are subscribed to our social media platforms, and I'm sure they're going to benefit from this.
Thank you, Professor. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Do stay in touch. Bye.
Thank you. Sure.